Assalamu alaikum, Huzur.
Huzur,
we have received some questions from the ladies.
Right.
Would you like that some of the questions from them are answered before more of the gents are given a chance?
It all depends on time. I think we better attend to the ladies' side as well. And they have equal right, haven't they?
Yes.
In Islam,
yes,
ladies have equal right.
Yes, sir.
You agree with that?
I do, sir.
And in some cases a little more. Please.
The first question is from Ismat Sara Mangla Sahiba.
Yes.
She says, I am granddaughter of Professor Nasir Ahmad Khan Sahib.
Right.
I am of the Detroit Jamaat.
Yes.
As a high school student, some of my friends deny the existence of God.
Right.
Because of all the unnecessary suffering of the innocent people in the world.
Right.
They rationalize that no compassionate God would allow such travesties to occur. Would Huzur...
Why don't they believe in a cruel God then? See, this question is unevenly balanced. The issue of the existence of God does not hinge upon his being compassionate or otherwise. The issue should be decided on other grounds altogether. Whether we find the positive signs of a creator in the plan of the universe, in the very design of human beings, in every part of human organ, could we attribute all this or relegate all this to a game of chance or not? It is this which is the right course of trying to settle the issue of the existence of God or otherwise. But the question of his being compassionate or otherwise does not arise until his identity is established. If somebody is not compassionate here, could you deny his existence? Only you change your view of him. So the question is wrongly placed. They have only one right, that is, that why do you call God to be compassionate? We think he is a cruel God. That question will have some validity then. Only superficial, of course, but some. So the conclusion drawn from this, from the existence of suffering, is absolutely wrong and it's illogical. Moreover, the issue of suffering cannot be treated separately from the issue of pleasure and happiness. The issue of advantage cannot be observed in separation from the issue of disadvantages. There are two poles which coexist. One cannot exist without the other. So none on earth can change the scheme of things here on earth. Remove the suffering and the entire evolution will return back to its origin and stop there dead. It's impossible for life to go on evolving without the agency of suffering. So such students, if they know any biology, or if they have ever heard of Darwinian Darwinian philosophy of evolution of life, they would know positively that without suffering there can be no evolution whatsoever. Because the moment you have equal distribution of everything, the suffering disappears. And the question of survival of the fittest does not arise. The struggle for existence does not arise. These are the two motive forces which push the wheel of evolution forward. So it is a much deeper philosophical question which has to be attended in this wider perspective in which I am trying to present to you. So it has to be taken on its own merit, differently altogether. But this presence of suffering in no way can make authorized to deny the existence of God. It's illogical. Right?
Right.
Thank you. Next, please.
The next question from the ladies is, my name is Mahmouda Ruby. Huzur, I remember having read once in Al-Fazl that Allah has different ways of punishing.
Right.
One of which was said to be that sometimes the bad deeds of parents come to the forefront of making one of the children of such parents handicapped.
No, this is wrong. Whoever wrote this, I disagree with him. Or I disagree with the conclusion drawn by this girl. Either of the two is right. Most people are confused because they are not being able to making a differentiation between crime and punishment and cause and effect. They are two different things altogether. If somebody meets with an accident, it may be his own fault. He is not driving rightly. But those innocent people who are sitting with such a bad driver, sometimes they do not escape the injury while the driver who is responsible for this accident escapes the injury. So this is not crime and punishment at all. This is a different scheme of things which is cause and effect. And cause and effect run parallel in life, so that sometimes a cause is sin and effect is punishment. Sometimes a cause is goodness and the effect is reward. But every cause is neither a sin nor an act of goodness. It could be, but they are neutral causes. It's neither this nor that. So what happens in the case of such children who suffer at the fault of someone else, it is just a design in nature whereby every cause produces an effect. And that cause and effect system is completely unrelated to sin and punishment and goodness and reward. Now, children sometimes are born with congenital defects not because of any fault of their parents at all. Most often nowadays, children are born with congenital defects because of the effects of radiation, because of the effects of some modern drugs which have not been properly tested before they were released to the public. And their effects appear much later in the second generation or sometimes the third generation. So this is not a sin and punishment phenomenon at all. It's a cause and effect phenomenon which runs parallel in nature. In fact, in the beginning, the sin and punishment concept did not take place at all. Most of the time occupied of our evolution was occupied during the course of cause and effect, where causes produced effects. They were neither acts of goodness nor evils. Neither punishment was involved nor reward was involved. But effect was definitely there following every event which took place. So it's a rather complicated affair, and you should not mix these two things together. Now, if you remove from the chain of life the cause and effect, then again the same problem would occur. Life would return to its starting point, to square one. Because without cause and effect, evolution cannot take place. So would you rather prefer that to become an amoeba again and stay there, stay put there? Or would you risk the suffering of cause and effect for the sake of much greater advantage that this carries for you? Right?
Right.
Thank you.
Huzur, the next question.
I hope the lady also understands like you did.
I hope so.
Please.
The next question is from Talat Faiza Mangla Sahiba, again granddaughter of Professor Nasir Ahmad Khan Sahib,
That's
the
right.
other granddaughter.
Yes.
Since the Holy Quran was not
And are they only related maternally? Are they Binate Maryam? Don't they have a father's link as well? You always link them through maternal route to their maternal parent. You don't mention any one by the name of Mangla who deserves to be mentioned.
Huzur, this girl has also written, and daughter of Dr. Inayatullah Mangla.
That's good. But doesn't go beyond that. Okay. Please.
Huzur, since the Holy Quran was not revealed to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the order that we see it today,
right?
Would Huzur please explain who put it in this order and why?
It was Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who conveyed to the scribes the instruction which he had received from God through Archangel Jibreel. You see, it had to be this. There is no other choice whatsoever. The Holy Quran had to answer the questions which arose from time to time. And they could not necessarily arise in the same order in which the Holy Quran could be arranged to ultimate perfection. Taking up an order of things which was universal in nature, which had much deeper significance. So that is why the verses of the Quran were revealed with reference to the events of current values, but they were reorganized at the same time in relation to their eternal value, which was also applicable to the requirements and needs of the future man. So this was the best scheme that could be adopted, and this is exactly how it was done. Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam told his companion that this verse should be placed there in that surah in that order. And most of them memorized the Quran and also these instructions. But also the scribes who wrote the Quran, they were also instructed. Hazrat Usman Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, Allah be pleased with him, it is the greatest favor he did to the world of Islam, but of course it was designed, it was decreed, it was not just a chance thought of Hazrat Usman that he did it, but what he did was, while those Sahaba were still alive, those scribes were still alive, who had received these instructions from the lips of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he publicly announced that we are going to set the Quran as Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to set it, in the order that he received from Allah. So all the important Sahaba were invited, all those who remembered the Holy Quran by heart were invited, all those who were in custody of parchments on which the Quran was written, and a long inquiry and a very, an inquiry in depth was carried out, through which for each verse and its place, witnesses were required. And they stood up, and in the name of God, they stood witness that this is what we heard from Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are the verses which were revealed and were kept uninterfered with. These are the verses which were revealed separately, but they were inserted in between that and that verse by the later instruction from Hazrat Jibreel. And this should be the order of surahs. It was a long, laborious task. It was carried out with the grace of Allah in the lifetime of Hazrat Usman. And this, the Quran which we know now, is called Musaf-e Usman. The Quran which was finalized not by anything added from himself, but by the inquiry he made, it was finalized in the order in which Muhammad Rasulullah wanted it to be in the lifetime of Hazrat Usman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Right?
So Huzur, would it be correct to say that it did not exist in one volume or in the form of one compilation before Hazrat Usman did it?
No. It was in parchments, written on different material, and in custody of various Sahaba. But a very large number memorized the Quran, so the parchments were not essential. And when they memorized the whole Quran, obviously every verse was remembered, but perhaps they did not remember the exact order. But with the help of exchanging views with others, when it was finally decided that the order in which one Qari remembers it is not the order which was finally approved by Jibreel or by Allah and conveyed to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, they all agreed to it unanimously. So that is also the miracle of the Quran, that there is not one dissident voice which said, no, we had received instruction to the contrary, so we'll stick to this. All of them agreed, and with the result that this final Quran appeared before us as one single representation of the Wahi of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Right?
Hazur, the next question is from Aisha Knight. She asks, in Christianity there is only
Mrs. or Miss Aisha Knight?
Just Aisha Knight.
Miss Knight. Alison. I met her this afternoon, of course.
Right. Huzur, she asks, in Christianity there is only one heaven. Islam tells us there are 7 heavens.
Yes.
How are these 7 heavens different? And also, how can I attain the best of heavens?
You see, the word heaven has many different meanings. Applied to the universe, it has the meaning of different layers or different galaxies within our universe. But here the word 7 should be understood in its right perspective. The word 7 does not denote the number 7 like we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The word 7 is only indicative of different spheres or such spheres or time zones which are repeatable. So the word 7 in the Holy Quran, as is used in the Holy Quran, also stands for eternity. That is why the days of the week are divided all over the world in 7s. There is no exception whatsoever, amazingly. Go to any culture of the world, and yet you find the same week divided into 7 days. Why? There is no outward sign by which they should divide the week. Months can be divided with reference to the moons and suns, but not the weeks. So this indicates that the word 7 means a repeatable entity which never ends. At the end, another 7 begins, and at the end, another 7 begins. So when the universe is described as to be divided into 7 heavens, I understand from the Quranic terminology that it means an endless spheres of universe built upon other unlimitedly, never ending. So the ultimate borders of the universe are also constantly expanding, and there is no end to the space or time as we know it here on earth. So that is why Surah Fatiha is divided into 7 verses. And it says, the Holy Quran says, Ummul Kitab. And it has the meaning, all the meanings of the Quran are contained within Surah Fatiha. How can it be possible? This is the question. The answer is, how can it be possible for the fertilized egg of a woman to have everything of human beings which are, which are yet to be born? Just at the time of fertilization, the ovum is a nondescript something, yet it contains everything of the child which he would be or she would be till the end of his time. It also contains the messages regarding the teeth, when they should begin to grow, when they should begin to be shed, the first form of teeth, milk teeth, and when the new teeth should be born, and when, until what time they should continue to grow, and at what time they should stop growing at a rate faster than the rate of their destruction. Fantastic things are computerized in that small fertilized ovum. So if it can happen in material life, why cannot it happen in the spiritual creation of God? So Surah Fatiha does have the seed of the entire Quran in it, but it is 7. So the Holy Quran says, Sabam Masani. There are 7 repeatable 7s. So the same concept of the week, which is repeatable, the same concept of the universe, which is divided into heavens which are repeatable, also applies to Surah Fatiha. You understand?
Yeah.
So the word 7 it is, wherein lies the key to the question. Heavens are unlimited, in fact. They can't be numbered into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the word 7 also has the connotation of ultimateness. So starting from 1, 2, 3, ultimately when you reach 7, then one phase is over and it culminates into the meaning of the last letter 7. So every heaven also has an evolutionary process, a beginning and an end within that sphere. It all depends on which heaven, to which heaven we belong here on earth. If we belong to a higher form of heaven, which is created within us here on earth in relation to God, then we'll be ultimately sent to that heaven, which is created by us with the help of God within ourselves here on this earth. So the question as she has asked is oversimplified. The question which should have been asked is a far more complicated question. So in the light of this, I hope I met this lady. She's a very intelligent lady. She will get the message, and this question cannot be answered. Of course, it cannot be answered to any limits, even if I speak on this all of my remaining life. And if when other Khulafa go on speaking on this till the end of the time. It's a very profound question. This divisions of spheres are found in the entire evolution of life. And when they come to culmination, when a certain set of values ends somewhere and a new set of values takes root from there on, it's a fantastic story, unlimited story, which is impossible for man to cover. But she should understand that the question she asked is a very profound one. Thank you.
Huzur, at the end she has asked, how can I attain the best of the heavens?
You see, it all depends on her constant struggle to rise. It all depends on Allah, how much capacity He has given her to understand in depth the spiritual values, and how far capacity God has given her to get attuned to those spiritual values she begins to understand. Now, this is a journey of the lifetime and beyond. If we start our journey into the exploration of spiritual values, and after understanding them, having a better grasp of them, we begin to acquire them. It's a journey of the lifetime. When it will end, Allah knows best. I don't. So she is asking the wrong person this question. Man does not know answer to this because the life and death are in the hands of Allah alone. Whenever He terminates a life, at that moment in time, whatever of heaven she has already achieved will be her heaven. You understand the difficulty which I faced?
Hazur,
I hope she also does.
yes.